The Cursed Shadows of Hinnom, a journey into the Valley of Hinnom. In the rugged landscape surrounding the ancient limestone walls of Jerusalem lies a deep and narrow ravine that has haunted human consciousness for millennia. To the casual tourist, it may appear as a serene green valley, but for historians and seekers of biblical mysteries, this is the Valley of Hinnom, the physical birthplace of the concept of hell. This geographic anomaly, known in Hebrew as Ge Ben Hinnom, serves as a bridge between the physical world and the metaphysical nightmare of eternal damnation. For an audience fascinated by biblical archaeology and dark history, understanding this valley is essential to unlocking the origin of Western occult narratives. The air within the valley often feels heavy, as if the stones themselves are whispering the secrets of a dark and forgotten era. Long before it became a park, this site was the epicenter of Canaanite pagan rituals that defied all modern standards of morality and human rights. The most chilling chapter of its history involves the worship of a terrifying deity known as Molech, an idol often depicted with the head of a bull and the body of a man. Ancient occult practices here were not merely symbolic, they involved the ultimate price a human could pay. Ritualistic child sacrifice was the horrifying hallmark of this valley, where parents, driven by religious fanaticism, desperate fear, offered their firstborns to the flames. The bronze statue of Molech was hollow, and huge fires were stoked inside until the metal glowed a lethal, incandescent red. Infants were placed onto the outstretched, glowing arms of the idol, and their cries were drowned out by the thunderous beating of drums and the chanting of priests. This historical trauma created a psychological stain on the land that would last for thousands of years. Early prophets of Israel, witnessing these abominations, cursed the valley and prophesied that it would one day be renamed the Valley of Slaughter. Because of these blood-soaked rituals, the Jewish people eventually came to view the Valley of Hinnom as the most loathsome place on earth. To ensure that pagan gods would never be worshipped there again, the valley was intentionally desecrated and turned into the city's primary waste disposal site. Everything deemed unclean or cursed was cast into the depths of Hinnom, including household garbage, animal carcasses, and the bodies of executed criminals. To manage the overwhelming stench and prevent the spread of disease, sulfur and brimstone were constantly added to the waste, creating fires that burned perpetually. The sight of rising smoke, the smell of burning sulfur, and the presence of maggots in the rotting waste created a living image of suffering. This physical reality provided the perfect metaphor for the New Testament's description of Gehenna, a place where the fire is never quenched. When ancient teachers spoke of hell, their audience didn't imagine an abstract dimension. They thought of the literal burning filth of the Valley of Hinnom. For the modern U.S. viewer interested in spiritual warfare and the evolution of religion, this history is a fascinating look at how a physical location can transform into a spiritual symbol. The contrast between the holy temple of Jerusalem on the hill and the burning abyss of Gehenna below created a powerful duality in the human mind. Today, the valley is a site for dark tourism, where hikers walk upon soil that once hosted the most feared rituals in antiquity. Archaeologists continue to study the layers of ash and bone buried beneath the surface, seeking to understand the true scale of ancient sacrifices. Every cliffside and hidden cave in this ravine tells a story of fear, faith, and the darker side of the human spirit. The transition of Gehenna from a site of ritualistic fire to a metaphor for the afterlife represents one of the most significant shifts in religious history. It teaches us that the concept of eternal punishment was not born out of thin air, but was rooted in actual historical trauma and environmental decay. Even today, As the sun sets over Jerusalem, the shadows in the Valley of Hinnom seem to stretch longer, reminding us of its dark legacy. It remains a testament to how the actions of the past can shape the theology and mythology of the future. The story of the Valley of Hinnom is not just a tale of ancient Israel, it is a universal warning about the depths of human fanaticism. Through the lens of biblical archaeology, we can see that the hell we fear today has a very real, very physical address. This valley stands as a silent witness to the cries of the innocent and the fires of a forgotten God that once lit up the night sky. For those who study the paranormal or the occult, the energy of Gehenna remains a subject of intense fascination and scholarly debate. It is a place where history, myth, and faith collide in a spectacular and terrifying display of human experience. As we explore its depths, we are forced to confront the reality that the most horrific monsters are often those created by our own hands and beliefs. The legacy of the Valley of Hinnom continues to influence modern films, literature, and the way we discuss the battle between good and evil. It is a location that demands respect and caution even thousands of years after the last sacrifice was made to Molech. By uncovering the secrets of Gehenna, we gain a deeper understanding of the cultural roots of our own fears. The valley remains there, just outside the holy city, a permanent reminder that some fires never truly go out. It is the ultimate destination for anyone seeking to understand the dark origins of the world's most enduring myths.
The history of the figure we call Satan is not a static one. It is a complex evolution that has shifted through cultures, languages, and millennia. For a modern U.S. audience deeply immersed in themes of spiritual warfare and supernatural thrillers, the origin of the Prince of Darkness is more fascinating than any fictional horror. It begins with the name Lucifer, which ironically translates to Lightbringer or Morning Star in Latin. In the earliest layers of Christian theology and religious mythology, Lucifer was not a monster, but the most beautiful and powerful of all celestial beings. He was an archangel of the highest order, standing in the direct presence of the divine, embodying wisdom and perfection. However, the narrative of his fall is the ultimate cautionary tale of pride and ego, a story that has shaped Western literature for centuries. The concept of a cosmic rebellion, where Lucifer led 1/3 of the angelic host against the heavens, is a cornerstone of the fallen angel mythos. This war in heaven resulted in his catastrophic expulsion and a literal fall from grace into the darkness of the abyss. This transformation from a being of light to the embodiment of evil represents one of the most significant shifts in spiritual history. During the early centuries, the image of the adversary was often abstract, representing the human struggle with sin and temptation. In the Hebrew Bible, the term Satan was not even a proper name, but a title meaning the accuser or the adversary, acting as a divine prosecutor. It wasn't until the Middle Ages that the visual depiction of the devil began to take on the terrifying forms we recognize today in pop culture. In a move to consolidate power and deter paganism, the medieval church began to merge the image of the devil with ancient pagan deities like the Greek god Pan. This is why the modern depiction of Satan often includes goat-like horns, cloven hooves, and a pointed tail, elements borrowed directly from nature-based religions. During this era, the devil became a tool of mass control, used to instill fear and enforce moral codes through the threat of eternal torment. Artistic masterpieces like Dante's Inferno and John Milton's Paradise Lost further cemented these images into the American and Western consciousness. Milton's portrayal was particularly revolutionary, depicting Satan as a tragic, charismatic rebel who famously declared that it was better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. This literary shift gave birth to the romanticized version of the devil, a complex anti-hero that still resonates in modern TV shows and movies. As we move into the modern era, the perception of Satan has evolved again, shifting from a literal monster under the bed to a psychological symbol of the human shadow. For many in the U.S., the satanic panic of the 1980s showed how deeply the fear of occult influence is still embedded in the societal psyche. Today, discussions around Luciferianism often focus on radical individualism and self-enlightenment rather than the worship of a literal demon. Yet for millions of believers, the reality of spiritual warfare remains a daily battle against an unseen enemy. The evolution of this figure mirrors our own changing understanding of morality, justice, and the nature of evil itself. From a radiant angel to a horned beast, and finally to a sophisticated psychological archetype, the devil remains the most enduring character in the history of human belief. The cultural impact of this evolution is seen everywhere, from heavy metal music to blockbuster horror franchises that dominate the U.S. box office. This fascination with the dark side speaks to a fundamental human need to personify the chaos and cruelty we see in the world. By giving evil a face and a name, we attempt to understand and ultimately defeat the darkness within ourselves. The story of Lucifer's fall is not just a religious dogma, it is a profound exploration of the consequences of absolute power and the loss of innocence. As historical narratives continue to adapt, the adversary remains a necessary mirror, reflecting the changing values and fears of each new generation. Even in a secular age, the myth of the fallen star continues to captivate our imagination and provoke deep existential questions about our place in the universe. In the realm of paranormal investigation and modern spiritualism, the figure of the devil is often cited as the source of demonic infestations and possessions. This has led to a massive resurgence in interest regarding ancient protection rituals and the history of demonology. The complexity of Satan's character allows him to be both a figure of ultimate terror and a symbol of rebellion against perceived tyranny. As we analyze the layers of history, we find that the Prince of Darkness is as much a human creation as he is a theological one. The evolution of this legend is a journey through the darkest corridors of human history, where fear and faith collide. It is a story that begins in the highest heavens and ends in the deepest pits of the human heart, leaving an indelible mark on our collective identity. Ultimately, the transformation of Lucifer into Satan is a testament to the power of storytelling and its ability to shape the world's moral landscape. It serves as a reminder that the line between light and darkness is often thinner than we imagine. As the U.S. audience continues to explore the intersections of history and the supernatural, the evolution of the devil will remain a focal point of cultural debate. Whether viewed through the lens of theology, literature, or psychology, the morning star continues to cast a long and intriguing shadow over human history. This 200-line journey through the ages shows that while the form of evil may change, our obsession with understanding it never fades. The legend of the fallen one is far from over. It is merely waiting for its next historical reinvention.
The rite of exorcism, battling invisible legions and Vatican secrets. In a world increasingly dominated by science and logic, there exists an ancient and terrifying practice that remains hidden behind the heavy stone walls of the Vatican and in the shadows of modern suburban homes. This is the rite of exorcism, a spiritual battleground where faith and darkness collide in a struggle for the human soul. For the U.S. audience, the term exorcism often conjures images from Hollywood blockbusters, but the historical and physical reality is far more disturbing than any cinematic special effect. Far from being a relic of the Middle Ages, the practice of deliverance and demonic expulsion has seen a massive resurgence in the 21st century. The Catholic Church, along with various spiritual organizations, continues to train a select few to handle cases of what they classify as genuine demonic possession. This is not merely a psychological phenomenon for those involved. It is a direct confrontation with an intelligent and ancient evil.
The core of this practice lies in the Roman ritual, a formalized set of prayers and commands that have been refined over centuries to identify and cast out non-human entities. Before an exorcism even begins, a rigorous process of discernment takes place, involving medical doctors, psychiatrists, and high-level paranormal investigators. The goal is to rule out every possible scientific explanation, from temporal lobe epilepsy to dissociative identity disorder, before declaring a case to be of supernatural origin. This intersection of modern medicine and ancient theology is where the mystery of the human mind meets the enigma of the abyss. Historical records are filled with chilling accounts of xenoglossy, where an uneducated individual suddenly speaks fluently in dead languages like Latin, Aramaic, or ancient Greek. Others exhibit preternatural strength, a physical power that defies the laws of biology, often requiring multiple grown men to restrain a single person. One of the most famous and controversial cases in history is that of Anneliese Michael, whose tragic story served as the real-life inspiration for the exorcism of Emily Rose. This case ignited a global debate about the line between mental health and demonic infestation, a topic that remains a high-volume search for those fascinated by the dark side of spiritualism. In the United States, the demand for exorcists has skyrocketed, leading to the creation of specialized deliverance ministries that handle cases ranging from haunted locations to cursed objects. The tools of the trade, holy water, blessed salt, the crucifix, and the recitation of sacred names are used as spiritual weapons in a war that most people refuse to believe is happening. These rituals are often conducted in total secrecy, far from the prying eyes of the media, to protect the privacy and safety of the afflicted. Modern exorcists often describe the experience as physically and mentally draining, as they claim to encounter entities that know their deepest secrets and personal failings. The concept of demonic infestation suggests that evil doesn't always live within a person. It can attach itself to a physical location or an inanimate object, waiting for a moment of human weakness to strike. This has fueled the growing industry of paranormal investigation in the U.S., where high-tech equipment like EMF meters and spirit boxes are used alongside ancient religious relics. The tension between the skeptical scientific community and those who have witnessed the unexplainable creates a fascinating cultural narrative. Whether you view it as a profound psychological drama or a literal battle with fallen angels, the rite of exorcism remains one of humanity's most enduring and terrifying mysteries. The psychological impact on the exorcist and the family of the possessed is often permanent, leaving behind a trail of trauma and unanswered questions. In recent years, even Pope Francis has spoken openly about the reality of the devil as a personal being, further legitimizing the practice within the modern church. This Vatican secret is no longer a secret, as documentary crews and journalists gain rare access to the training facilities where priests learn the delicate art of spiritual warfare. They are taught to look for specific signs, an aversion to sacred objects, the knowledge of hidden things, and a total change in personality and voice. The battle is often described as a long-term siege, sometimes taking months or even years of repeated rituals to achieve a full release from the entity's grip. For the American audience, the fascination with exorcism lies in the ultimate question: what happens if our reality is not the only one? The idea that we could lose control of our own bodies to an external, malevolent force is the ultimate human fear. This fear drives the continuous interest in occult history and the search for protection against the unknown. As we delve deeper into the archives of the Vatican and the case files of independent investigators, we find a world that is much darker and more complex than we ever imagined. The rite of exorcism is the final defense against a darkness that has been part of human history since the beginning of time. It stands as a testament to the power of belief and the human spirit's refusal to surrender to the shadows. In conclusion, the evolution of the exorcism ritual from a communal prayer to a high-stakes spiritual operation reflects our own changing relationship with the supernatural. It is a field where theology, science, and the paranormal converge to explore the very boundaries of human existence. As long as there are reports of things that go bump in the night and voices that speak from the void, the exorcist will remain a necessary figure in the landscape of human faith. The story of the battle for the soul is not just an ancient legend, it is a living, breathing history that continues to unfold in the dark corners of our modern world. It challenges us to look beyond what we see and consider the possibility that we are never truly alone in the dark. This journey through the history of exorcism reminds us that while the light is powerful, the darkness is patient, and the battle between them is eternal.
Devil's Tower, the ancient mystery of the Granite Sentinel. Deep within the vast plains of Wyoming, rising like a jagged monolith from the earth, stands one of the world's most baffling geological structures, Devil's Tower. For the U.S. audience and fans of the unexplained, this massive rock formation is not just a natural landmark, it is a physical enigma that challenges our understanding of Earth's history. Rising nearly 900 feet above the surrounding terrain, its sheer vertical columns and flat top create a silhouette that is both majestic and deeply unsettling. Long before it was declared America's first national monument in 1906, it was a focal point for spiritual warfare and ancient legends. To the modern paranormal investigator or biblical archaeologist, the tower represents a bridge between geological science and the supernatural mysteries of the ancient world. The symmetry of its massive stone columns is so perfect that many have questioned whether such a structure could truly be the result of random volcanic activity. The geological origin of Devil's Tower remains a subject of intense scientific debate, categorized under the mystery of igneous intrusion. Most geologists believe it was formed by the intrusion of molten rock or magma, which cooled underground and was later exposed by millions of years of erosion. However, the lack of surrounding volcanic debris has led to alternative theories that satisfy those searching for more out-of-this-world explanations. This sense of mystery was immortalized in Steven Spielberg's sci-fi masterpiece, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where the tower was depicted as a landing site for extraterrestrial visitors. This cinematic connection has turned the location into a hotspot for dark tourism and UFO enthusiasts who believe the tower is a beacon for non-human intelligence. But beyond the modern sci-fi lore, the tower's history is rooted in the deep spiritual traditions of the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Kiowa tribes. To the Native American tribes of the Great Plains, the tower is not Devil's Tower at all. It is known as Bear Lodge or Mato Tipila. Their legends tell of a group of children who were chased by a giant prehistoric bear. As they prayed for salvation, the Great Spirit made the earth rise beneath them, lifting them out of the bear's reach. The massive vertical grooves that define the tower's face are said to be the claw marks of that monstrous beast as it tried in vain to climb the stone pillar. This legend provides a fascinating cultural duality. While scientists see cooling basaltic magma, the indigenous people see a sacred altar and a place of divine protection. For thousands of years, these tribes have gathered at the base of the tower for sacred ceremonies, prayer vigils, and sun dances, believing the air here is charged with a unique spiritual energy. The name Devil's Tower itself is the result of a historical misunderstanding that added an extra layer of dark mystery to the site. In 1875, an expedition led by Colonel Richard Irving Dodge misinterpreted the native name as Bad God's Tower, which eventually evolved into the name we use today. This accidental association with the diabolical has attracted those interested in occult history and the paranormal.
Some researchers suggest that the tower's unique magnetic properties and its composition of phonolite porphyry, a type of rock that literally rings when struck, could explain the strange lights and sounds reported by locals over the decades. The idea that a physical location can act as a natural resonator for spiritual or extraterrestrial frequencies is a high-interest topic for those exploring the boundaries of science and the unknown. For hikers and climbers today, the tower presents a formidable challenge, but it also demands a certain level of respect due to its status as a sacred site. The visual impact of the tower is so profound that it often triggers a sense of megalithic awe, a psychological response to structures that seem too grand for their environment. As you stand at its base, looking up at the hexagonal columns that fit together like a giant honeycomb, the scale of the mystery becomes overwhelming. Every crack and crevice in the stone is home to legends of spirits and ancient forces that supposedly guard the tower. It remains a silent sentinel watching over the American West, a geological masterpiece that refuses to give up its final secrets. Whether viewed through the lens of science, mythology, or the paranormal, Devil's Tower stands as a testament to the wonders and terrors of the natural world. The ongoing tension between its roles as a scientific curiosity, a tourist destination, and a holy temple makes it one of the most complex sites in U.S. history. It forces us to confront the limitations of our knowledge and the power of the land itself to inspire wonder and fear. For the U.S. audience, the tower is a symbol of the untamed wilderness and the hidden mysteries that still exist in our own backyard. As new research into the Earth's mantle continues, the true origin of Devil's Tower may one day be revealed, but its spiritual and cultural power will never be diminished. It is a place where the earth meets the sky, where the physical meets the metaphysical, and where every visitor feels the presence of something much older and more powerful than ourselves. The story of Devil's Tower is a journey through time, from the fires of the ancient earth to the modern quest for truth in an uncertain universe. In conclusion, Devil's Tower is more than just a rock. It is a monument to the human imagination and our desire to find meaning in the world's anomalies. Its history is a rich tapestry of native wisdom, scientific inquiry, and pop culture myth-making. As long as it stands, it will continue to draw seekers of all kinds, those looking for God, those looking for aliens, and those simply looking for the truth. The mystery of the granite sentinel remains unsolved, inviting us all to look up at its towering peaks and wonder what other secrets the Earth is hiding beneath its surface. This 200-line exploration of the tower's legacy shows that in the heart of the American landscape, the ancient and the modern are still locked in a mysterious embrace. Devil's Tower is and will always be the ultimate landmark of the unexplained.
The Jersey Devil, the winged phantom of the Pine Barrens. Deep within the densely forested swamps of southern New Jersey lies a million-acre wilderness known as the Pine Barrens, a place where time seems to stand still and shadows move with a life of their own. This is the hunting ground of the Jersey Devil, perhaps America's most enduring and terrifying urban legend. For a U.S. audience obsessed with cryptozoology and paranormal investigations, the story of the Leeds Devil is a masterclass in how folklore can transform into a collective cultural nightmare. Unlike many monsters that exist only in blurry photographs, the Jersey Devil has a detailed historical origin that dates back to the colonial era of 1735. The legend begins with a woman known as Mother Leeds, who upon discovering she was pregnant with her 13th child, allegedly cried out in despair, "Let this one be a devil." This curse, born of exhaustion and poverty, would birth a creature that has haunted the American Northeast for nearly 3 centuries. According to the harrowing accounts passed down through generations, the child was born normal but rapidly transformed into a grotesque beast before the very eyes of the midwives. It grew the head of a horse, the wings of a bat, cloven hooves, and a serpentine tail, letting out a blood-curdling scream before flying up the chimney and disappearing into the dark cedar swamps. This origin story is deeply rooted in the political and religious tensions of early America, where the Leeds family was often ostracized for their unconventional beliefs. For modern researchers of dark history, the Jersey Devil is not just a monster, but a symbol of the otherness and the fear of the untamed wilderness. The Pine Barrens, with their tea-colored water and eerie silence, provide the perfect atmospheric backdrop for a creature that defies the laws of biology and physics. The mystery reached a fever pitch in January 1909, a week that is still studied by historians as a prime example of mass hysteria. During this time, thousands of people across New Jersey and Pennsylvania reported sightings of the winged phantom. Schools were closed, factories were shut down, and armed posses roamed the woods in search of the beast. Even local police officers claimed to have fired upon a creature that seemed immune to bullets, its skin described as leathery and its eyes glowing with a demonic red light. High-volume searches for N.J. Pine Barrens paranormal activity often lead to these archived newspaper reports from 1909, which document footprints in the snow that led over rooftops and through narrow fences where no human or known animal could pass. This week of terror cemented the Jersey Devil's place in the American psyche as a very real, very physical threat. In the decades since, the Jersey Devil has become a cultural icon, even lending its name to New Jersey's NHL hockey team, but the fear remains real for those who live near the Barrens. Modern paranormal investigators equipped with thermal cameras and audio recorders still venture into the swamps, hoping to capture the Leeds Devil's infamous high-pitched shriek. Some skeptical scientists suggest the sightings might be misidentified sandhill cranes or large owls, but these theories fail to explain the centuries of consistent descriptions provided by witnesses. The creature is often described as a chimera, a blend of different animals that mirrors the ancient demons of European mythology. This connection to the old world monsters makes the Jersey Devil a unique part of American spiritual warfare lore, representing a bridge between ancient European curses and the New World's mysteries. The Pine Barrens themselves are a geological anomaly, with vast underground aquifers and unique flora that aren't found anywhere else on Earth. This isolation has allowed the legend to thrive, protected by the thick canopy of pines and the treacherous quicksand of the bogs. For the U.S. audience, the Jersey Devil represents the fear of what lies just beyond the edges of our suburban sprawl. It is a reminder that despite our technological progress, there are still pockets of the world where the rules of man do not apply. Every time a strange noise is heard in the woods at night, or an unidentifiable footprint is found in the mud, the legend of Mother Leeds' 13th child is reborn. It is a story of a mother's curse, a family's shame, and a monster that refuses to die, lurking in the shadows of the Garden State. As we analyze the impact of this legend on American pop culture, we see its influence in everything from the X-Files to modern horror cinema. The Jersey Devil is more than a campfire story. It is a manifestation of our primal fear of the dark and the unknown. For those who study the occult and cryptozoology, the creature remains a top-tier mystery, a living fossil of American folklore. Whether it is a biological entity, a spiritual manifestation, or a psychological archetype, the Jersey Devil continues to patrol the Pine Barrens, a winged sentinel of the night. It challenges us to look closer at our own history and the monsters we create through our words and beliefs. The legacy of the